Bills Broncos tomorrow afternoon. That's an old clip. We've been here a long time. The bad and the good. Aaron Schatz knows this. I'm not sure when we first started talking to Aaron, but it might have been 15 years ago, maybe more, because I remember it got to be a running thing that Aaron would say to us, guys, I'm sorry. I'm just being real with you. I really hope, great fans, the Bills get good someday.
Yeah.
And that was like a regular, almost like an annual.
Just to add my bit here, it was close enough to 2004 for it to mean something that Aaron would tell us that's the best team by DVOA that didn't make the playoffs.
Aaron, we're all getting up there. That's the point.
Yeah, I've been doing this a long time. I think I have breaking news for you.
Okay.
It just came over by social media that the Bills have activated Ed Oliver and Curtis Samuel to the 53-man roster.
You're right. I didn't know that, but just in the last couple of minutes, also McCole Hardman is called up, and Frank Gore is called up, which probably means no Ty Johnson again. Poyer won't play from this. Samuel, man, Aaron, 7 catches. He had a play against Denver in the playoffs last year, for what it's worth. This is a guy, It's a guy that I've kind of always liked in his career, but for one reason or another, kind of just got away from him. I don't know what he's got left, but maybe he could be useful. The Bills, as you know, are very, in very rough shape at receiver.
Yeah, we thought before, Samuel wasn't back, they'd have to use Hardman or like Christian Wilkerson or somebody off the practice squad. Yeah. So, yeah, they're definitely down. They're definitely down at receiver. There's always this question about how much do they trust Keon Coleman anyway, given that he was, sat for a couple of games this year. But Ed Oliver coming back is really nice for them.
Yeah, can that make a big difference? So I know the Bills run offense versus the Denver run defense by DVOA. Like those are both top 3 units. What can Oliver mean to their defense, their run defense, at least on Saturday?
He probably improves it a little bit, but isn't he more of a pass rush defensive tackle than a stopping defensive tackle?
Yeah, I'm thinking if he has an impact on the game, it might not be that he sacks Be Nix, but that he pushes Be Nix into Gregory Rousseau or Joey Bosa, because he's someone who can win penetrating, and if he makes plays, like any kind of big plays in the run game, it's usually he beats a guy and gets a guy in the backfield, but he's not a big stout body. He's a smaller penetrating guy, like you said. So maybe it helps our pass rush.
The pass rush, yeah, it's an improvement to the pass rush.
Before we get back into this game in a more granular way, Aaron, I don't think we've talked in a while here. What did you make of the season and how we ended up really in both conferences, it would seem, without some familiar names and with a very even-looking playoff field? We're used to maybe in the few years of its existence, the 7 seeds being kind of patsies in the playoffs, but this year was different. What else might you have noticed about this year that stands out?
This year was very crazy, very topsy-turvy. We ended up with some teams that my ratings loved that didn't even make the playoffs, like the Lions and Colts. Other teams that my ratings didn't like the Panthers. The Bears and the Patriots at least got hot in the second half of the season, but they're not weren't as high in my ratings until the second half of the season. There were some sort of extreme schedules. I don't know. People have probably heard me say this elsewhere. The Patriots played the 3rd easiest schedule ever by DVOA, but the 2 easiest schedules ever both made the Super Bowl. One of them was the 91 Bills. So that doesn't mark that they're out of it or anything, but they did play. Everything you've heard about the Patriots schedule is true. It was really easy. So you ended up with this really weird year. Now you're getting this talk about, Josh Allen should win it all because he doesn't have to deal with the Mahomes. He doesn't have to deal with Jackson. And I think Bills fans understand that this team is not as good as the last couple of years. The defense is just not as good as the last couple of years, and they have the injuries at wide receiver. And it's not necessarily that they're the favorite because there's no Patrick Mahomes and there's no Lamar Jackson. I think things are very even between the 4 teams that are left in the AFC, and the Bills have just as good a chance as the other 3, but not a better chance.
Yeah, I haven't really minded the pressure being on Allen because that's just kind of how it goes. But I'd have an easier time with that whole narrative, Aaron, if they won 14 games and were the 1 seed, sitting at home without Mahomes and without Jackson, without Burrow in the field. Then I think you could maybe say, if they just won a couple of games that they lost and still had the same personnel and even the same injuries. But I think it's hard when you got to go on the road, and even with a short week here, to a team that's rested. I think it's harder to say that the pressure should all be on him and them.
Yes, and they're going to go on the road, and if they win this game, they get to go on the road next week.
Right.
Because even if Houston beats the Patriots, Houston would host the AFC Championship game. So there's no question that makes this tougher. But the Broncos are not the typical number 1 seed either. They didn't have a schedule as easy as the Patriots, but they had an easy schedule this year too. So they're not that much better they're like a little bit better than the Bills, but not a lot better than the Bills. What they do have is rest and fewer injuries right now.
Do you happen to know from memory who the other team is that had the easier schedule than New England?
It's the 91 Bills and the 99 Rams.
And they won it, right? That's the year.
They won the whole thing. But they were stomping teams. Like the wins that the Patriots had in weeks 17 and 18 over the Jets and Dolphins, like the Rams had those wins all year long.
Yeah, that's right. Is there some reason for this? Like, I know the last couple of years, maybe the numbers don't back this up. I hope they do. That there were just so many really bad teams. Like a quarter of the league was 1 week. Like a quarter of the league was 3-10 or worse or something like that. It wasn't that bad.
It's because the bad teams were stuffed into specific divisions, one of which the Patriots and Bills play in.
Yeah.
Right? The Jets were terrible. The Dolphins were terrible. The Patriots and Bills got to play those teams 4 times. The NFC South was terrible. The Patriots and Bills got to play those teams 4 times. And then when you compare their schedules, the Patriots had a last-place schedule compared to the Bills had a first-place schedule, so the Patriots had easier opponents when it comes to the opponents that were decided by last year's performance. So both the Bills and the Patriots had easy schedules, and it's just because of the division. It's just because of how this year's schedule fell out.
The Giants, the Raiders, and the Titans maybe were on New England's schedule.
And yet they lost to the Raiders.
They lost to the Raiders,
Right.
But how did that go? I mean, those three, like the 3 worst teams in the league, arguably, were those teams.
Right, and the AFC North was not as good as we thought it was going to be because Baltimore had struggles and Cincinnati had struggles and Cleveland was a defense in search of an offense, and
Is it different also now? Maybe with a 17th game even, where teams kind of give up earlier? Is that a thing that used to be different?
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
I think that what is now Week 18 used to be Week 17, and I don't think teams give up really that much earlier than they used to.
Jets. All right. Yeah, okay. With Aaron Schatz, divisional round, Bills and Broncos first game up. You spoke to it a little bit already, but the advantage of the week off for the 1 seed, I mean, historically it used to be 2 seeds per conference for this, but the 1 now, major edge, and the injury report doesn't make me feel any better for the Bills' chances. Can you quantify what that tends to mean? It is a year where maybe Denver, maybe like Tennessee a couple of years ago, doesn't stand out as a clearly better team, maybe to put it mildly, than the rest of the group.
I mean, it usually means a point or 2 in the line. I don't exactly know how much it is. It's hard to tell when does the 1 seed win because they got a week off, and when does the 1 seed win because they're at home, and when do they win because they're just better.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But it does matter. Like the bye week. Yeah, the bye week absolutely helps. But you look at the line that they have for this game, I think the Broncos are only favored by 1. It's clear that the Bills are getting a little bit of a Josh Allen boost. Right? If you look at just how good these teams were this season, plus the week off, plus the home field, the Broncos would be favored by more. But it's clear that quarterback matters in the playoffs, and the Bills have the best one left.
And what is Be Nix in your view, Aaron?
He's good. He's not great. He's good at limiting negative plays. He's got good sack avoidance. He doesn't have a lot of turnovers. They'll get the ball to their guys. They're obviously going to run on the Bills. We know the Bills are terrible stopping the run. The Broncos don't have a great running game. But the things that the Bills' run defense is worst at, the concepts, run concepts that they're worst at, happen to be the run concepts that the Broncos use the most. So that's not a great matchup for the Bills.
Interesting. I was thinking about it a little bit more favorably because Harvey is not even ETN, not somebody that is like all the time,
Great offensive line, though.
Okay.
Garrett Bowles, Quinn Miners, really good offensive line.
I mean, the Bills had games this year where big-name running backs tore them up. And I wanted to think maybe that was less likely here. We'll see what happens. What do you make of...
Maybe we just count on Sean Payton going away from it for no good reason.
Yeah,
Because
maybe.
he's Sean Payton.
He'll get distracted.
Yeah.
We've talked like almost every day, literally, Aaron, all season and in the offseason about what the Bills are not at receiver. We talked about Samuel and that news already that he's been called up from IR for this game. But Shakir, Cooks now, and of course Coleman. They've had other injuries and just a lot of in and out again this season at wide receiver. What do you say to it? And then also like sort of how Allen has survived it.
I mean, Cooks found a youth last week, contested catches even. So I mean, if he can do that again, that would be fabulous. Josh Allen was 6th in DVOA against zone coverage, but only 25th against man coverage. And that is a receiver stat.
Yeah.
That's not a Josh Allen stat. And only Philadelphia used man coverage more than the Broncos this year. So that's not a great matchup for the Bills offense. And there's no question these guys have trouble getting open. The 12 personnel stuff is good. Kincaid, Knox, Jackson Hawes, underrated. Obviously a really good blocker, but can catch the ball too. I don't know exactly how healthy Kincaid is, but he's going to play,
Yes. So we have this game first up. Let's hit the other ones. Why don't we just jump to the other AFC game here? The winners will play each other. Houston at New England on Sunday. What do you see?
I mean, this is it. This is the test, man. I talked about the Patriots' schedule. The Patriots did not play any of the top 8 pass defenses in the league. And here comes number 2. So this is a real test. That being said, it's also a real test for the Texans. Because it's not like you play a lot of offenses that were as good as the Patriots this year. So, I think that's kind of a wash. And then the other side of the ball is interesting because the Texans' pass offense has improved in recent weeks, but the Patriots' pass defense has also improved in recent weeks. It's a very close matchup. I think the Patriots have a couple of small advantages. One is the home field and the cold, and the other is Nico Collins' concussion, because it looks like Christian Gonzalez is going to play for the Patriots, but Nico Collins is not going to play for the Texans, and he's definitely their best receiver.
Yeah, Stroud being as sloppy as he was last week in Pittsburgh really gives me some pause. I mean, I respect...
Well, that's not going to happen again.
Right.
It's not like all year long they've had a problem with bad snaps like Arizona did a couple of years ago, right? Like that was weirdness.
Yeah. But still, it can shake you up. And their offense in general is just sort of, I don't know, not I don't have a lot of faith in it, I guess. And Collins or not, that's not a surprise. I think we knew all week it was unlikely he'd play, and we found out today he definitely wouldn't. I'm just not real sure what they're good at, offensively.
No, they're more average than they are bad, though. They're more average than they are bad, so I give them a little bit of credit for that. And the Patriots' defense is not as good as it looked during the season because, again, schedule and the quarterbacks that they faced. So on that side of the ball, both teams are pretty average. And on the other side of the ball, both teams are really good.
Did the May season shock you or surprise you or anything? I know the schedule point.
Oh, yeah. I mean, dude, you don't expect a second-year quarterback to have a season this good. This is one of the best it's not quite Marino, but this is one of the best second-year seasons that any quarterback has ever had. You never would expect this.
84 Marino, right. Super Bowl team. And then you heard every day how, he probably assumed he'd get back there many times. I don't know why he would have assumed that. People always love to say that. He probably figured he'd get back there many times. I mean, I don't know. Aaron Schatz wouldn't say a thing like that. I mean, it's not easy to make the Super Bowl.
No, the Lions are the current version of that, right? Because when they made the NFC Championship game a couple of years ago and lost to San Francisco, Dan Campbell said afterwards, we may never get back here, and they haven't.
Not yet. With Aaron Schatz. All right, NFC Saturday night, San Francisco at Seattle. Seattle getting a lot of respect here with the number, even with the Darnold injury news, 7 against a beat-up, always perpetually beat-up Niners team, it seems. What do you like?
We talked about the idea that the NFL is very even this year. My numbers don't have that. I have the Seahawks and the Rams far ahead of the rest of the league by DVOA. Like, the rest of the league, especially the AFC, is very even. But I have the Seahawks and the Rams way ahead. And so they're clear favorites to me in the NFC. And the 49ers are so injured. They're just picking dudes off their couches to play linebacker at this point, right? Like, it's really tough. It's really tough to imagine that this game is going to be different than the one from 2 weeks ago. I mean, yeah, Trent Williams will be back for the whole game, but there's no George Kittle.
Right.
So, like, I mean, how much are the 49ers really going to be able to score? And so they would have to hold the Seahawks down. You would really have to have Darnold just completely implode for the 49ers. Not that that's not possible,
right?
But for the 49ers to win this game.
Curious how you think Seattle got here so fast. Maybe they didn't have the easy schedule that other teams did. But I know as a fantasy player, Aaron, I kept hearing about how their line was bottom third in the league or worse than that, near the bottom of the league in ratings. And if I got Sam Darnold, I've got a line maybe that won't be able to protect him, and I've got JSN, and then what on offense? But here they are, kind of looking like a super team. How did they do it?
Well, the offense hasn't been as good in recent weeks, but the line got better, drafting Gray Zabel. Mostly it is coaching. McDonald has done a fantastic job with the defense. Clint Kubiak, right? You remember in New Orleans last year, he had that offense humming in the first couple of weeks of the season, and then Carr got hurt, and the Saints fell apart. But he had the Seahawks humming this year, like even though it's mostly JSN in the passing game, their passing game has declined. Their passing game is only 18th since week 10, but their running game has improved to 9th in week 10. So the overall offense hasn't declined as much as you might expect from the passing game having some problems, and the defense is just, McDonald's been fantastic. They're also number 2 in special teams.
Helps.
Yep. How about the game that'll close it out here, Rams at Bears? To my ears, it sounds like there's a lot of talk about Stafford in the cold. I don't know. What do you think about that part of it and just that matchup overall?
I mean, I think the bigger problem is snow, if it snows rather than the cold. Much of Stafford in the cold is, hey, for years, the Green Bay Packers were better than the Detroit Lions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no duh. Like, I don't think that's a statement about this Rams team or what Stafford is going to do in this game. Precipitation is a bigger problem for him. The Rams defense has declined a little bit in recent weeks, but it's still good. The Bears defense is not. They don't really have a good pass rush. Their secondary is very dependent on takeaways, and takeaways are just less predictive than yards and first downs. And so that's the thing, right? The Bears offense is pretty good, but the Rams offense is the best in the league. And the Rams defense is good, and the Bears defense is not. So what the Bears have going for them is, the takeaways and the home field and the cold, but the Rams are the better.
The Carolina performance didn't dissuade you by the Rams.
Well, the only thing about the Carolina performance is that you're like, first of all, you thought that when Quentin Lake came back from an injury that the Rams' pass defense would get back to being really, really good, and it didn't. And the other thing is you scratch your head that they've had these weird games this year, and you're like, oh, what happened? So, I mean, they could have one in this game. I mean, I think the cold and possible snow means it's more likely that they're going to have one of those weird games in this game. So I like the Bears more than I like the 49ers, even though my system has the Seahawks and Rams together, right? I think that the Rams, weird things happen with the Rams, and the Bears look better right now than the 49ers because of injuries. So I do like the Bears. A Bears upset is more likely than a 49ers upset.
Okay, sorry. Last thing before you go. I'm certainly not asking you to divulge your vote. What have you made of the MVP discourse this year? It stayed pretty close right to the end.
I'm going to make an argument for each player, okay?
Mm-hmm.
For Matthew Stafford, The idea that Drake May's schedule doesn't matter is so stupid to me. Of course it matters. How do you judge a player based on his statistics without considering the environment in which he put together those statistics? The guy had a remarkably easy schedule. And there's some stats out there saying, oh, his schedule wasn't that much easier than Stafford's. I don't understand where that comes from either. His schedule was a lot easier than Stafford's. On the other hand, so much of Stafford was Puka Nacua. If you take out the best receiver from each quarterback, Drake May was much better than Stafford, right? Diggs was good, but Puka Nacua was otherworldly, right? So, look at what Stafford is surrounded by. His second receiver is better than May's second receiver, right? You would rather have Devontae Adams than Kayshon Boutte. So look at what each quarterback is surrounded by. You may have rookies at left tackle and left guard. Both have good offensive play callers, right? McDaniels is good and Sean McVay is good. But when you look at that, that's an argument for Drake May.
I think it'll be close.
I do too.
Thank you, Aaron. Great to talk to you as always. Enjoy the playoffs.
Yeah, thanks. You guys enjoy it too.
Aaron Schatz with us on the West Her Hotline.